Hello and welcome to the latest market update from AHDB Market Intelligence. Starting with the beef sector, prime cattle prices have been feeling the pressure since autumn last year, with prices now sitting at their lowest since summer 2015. In more recent weeks, the declines have eased, with the all-prime measure now trending flat. Prime cattle slaughterings for March are down 2% on last year, but cull cow slaughterings are slightly up, perhaps holding prime animals back, anticipating better prices and some rationalisation of the rest of the herd. According to the latest data, during February, UK imports of fresh and frozen beef fell by 10% year on year to 20,100 tonnes. No particular country reported a large decline, but many suppliers reported small reductions. The value of these imports fell by 12% year on year to £80.9 million, driven mostly by the lower volume, with the weaker position of sterling to the euro also reducing the value. Meanwhile, UK exports of fresh and frozen beef rose slightly to 9,800 tonnes. The value of these exports rose by 3% year on year to £34 million. Moving on to the lamb sector, whilst live weight SQQ prices are not as high as this time last year, they are still sitting around or just over the 5-year average. Brexit uncertainty has been weighing on prices recently, and with the latest Brexit extension, prices may receive some support in the coming weeks. Additional support for prices may be found with the potential shortfall in numbers as the industry switches last year's lambs to this year's lambs. The most recent trade figures from HMRC show that trade has plummeted, with imports falling 19% year on year in February in both volume and value terms. Meanwhile, the UK export market was fairly stable at the beginning of 2019, with exports up 1% in February compared with last year. This is in contrast to the previous 2 months, where UK exports had averaged year-on-year declines of 13%. This trend is seen in exports to France, the UK's biggest export market, with higher figures for February following lower figures in January. This subdued trade was probably in part due to Brexit uncertainty, as buyers looked elsewhere for their sheep meat or held off purchasing, concerned that trade barriers would exist after the UK exited the EU. There may be short-term support for sheep trade, in the near future at least, given the flexible extension until October allowed by the EU. To summarise, there has been a large reduction in both sheep meat and beef imports to the UK during February, but exports have increased. Live weight prices for lamb have reached their 5-year average level, but dead weight sheep and cattle prices are still lagging behind last year and the 5-year averages. The flexible extension to Brexit may hopefully provide some stability for the market and support to prices, at least in the short term. That's all we have time for today. Thanks for watching, and if you would like to keep up to date each week on the latest developments in the beef and lamb markets, please email the team on the address below.